This evening I have my friend Leo Cakounes from Harwich, a fellow farmer, and he's an agricultural advocate. But this evening he's going to be talking to us about the County Commission and what the County Commission does. There's going to be an election coming up in November, and the County Commissioner is it's going to be on the ballot, but a lot of us are just unfamiliar with the exact duties of the County Commissioner are. It's very interesting, it's very local, and you'll be surprised at the effect that this office has on our daily lives. It's close to the people. So I'm going to let Leo tell you what's been going on, because he's been County Commissioner for 4 years. So
yep, that's right. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me, Phyllis. I appreciate it very much. I want to apologize to your viewers and you for showing up right off the farm, but we are taping this in beginning of August, and I ran over here, as you know, right out of the field to give you an update of what's going on in the county, so and your viewers at home. I brought with me a gift for you, and I want to let everybody at home know that the Barnstable County Annual Report is out, and this annual report is for FY17, or 2017, it says right on the cover. I really pride ourselves in our annual report. You know, when people who get the town's annual reports, a lot of times they open them and they're just filled with numbers. You know, they're filled with the budget, they're filled with how much money we're spending on this project and that project. We at the county kind of do a little bit, elaborate a little bit more. And we also make it very easy to read too. We have it in sections. There's the Treasurer's Report, the Cape Cod Commission, which, as you know, is part of county government, the Cooperative Extension Service, which, being a farmer, that's right, you and I use that quite a bit. We do have the Dredge in here. Children's Cove is another one that's very important. So there's actually reports from every part of the different departments in this county Dredge. But first, you know, I really want to say that this is available, by the way, in your libraries. We've dropped them off at all the town libraries, all the town halls. It is also online, so anyone, if they're computer smart, something that I'm not, but I'm trying to learn, can go online and certainly read it online too. But it is available in your town, so I brought this copy for you. The things that I would just like to update people with today, if you know, I know we limited for time and I don't want to get into too much of the weeds of county government, but I'm very proud to say that in the 3.5 years that I have been a county commissioner, we basically have really turned the county government around. When I took office in January 3.5 years ago, we were borderline bankrupt. I was very, very frightened that we may have to file bankruptcy. We had no money at all in the savings account. There was a habit of maybe the previous 10 years of spending every single dime that the county had just to balance the budget. And as you know, you just can't keep doing that. No, right? So eventually the money ran out, and everybody started jumping ship. I ran for the office, ran against a very formative opponent, Mark Forrest, a great guy. I honestly believe that Mark and I would have both done the best that we could have done. So the voters chose me. I got in there, and we've made a lot of changes. And when I say we, it's really my fellow county commissioners. There are 3 of us. We brought on a whole new staff, though. We basically cleaned house. Yeah, we got rid of our administrator. I left on a medical leave, and we ended up giving him a kind of an early retirement plan. Brought in a new administrator, brought in a new finance director, contacted Suzanne Bump's office and had them send a team of auditors down. Had the state do an extensive audit of the county spending habits.
Patterns. We're looking for patterns.
There you go. Yes. That took about 8 months. Got a report from Suzanne Bump's office, and I am very proud to say that in the time frame of the state being there and doing the audit, I, as one of the commissioners, brought up a number of different things, and we had already addressed some of the issues by the time the report even came out. And that was like I took a lot of credit for that personally. I think that I brought a lot of things to the forefront and questioned why things were being done that way. And basically, we came up with new policies and procedures and changed a lot of the old policies and procedures, which, come to find out, when the audit came out, they weren't done properly. Things just weren't done properly. So I'm very proud to say, though, today, 3.5 years later, we have passed a budget in FY19, and I want the listeners at home, and I see we have members in the audience here too, to hear this clearly. The budget that we just passed is 0.29% over last year. 0.29%. That is unprecedented anywhere in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. There is no other municipality in the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts that passed a budget 0.29% higher than the previous year. Every single one of them automatically go up 2.5% because of Prop 2.5, and usually with debt overrides and exclusions. I know all of you, when you look at your town thing, your school committees are notoriously 4 to 6% higher year after year. We were 0.29%, and I'm very proud to say that.
Now,
by the way, we cut no
services.
We cut no services. Okay. Cut no services. Very important for the listeners, the viewers at home, to hear that. Cut no services. The only thing that we cut in FY19 is AmeriCorps program went from 33 participants, and by participants, AmeriCorps is a program. It's like a Peace Corps. Mm-hmm. Those of us that are older remember Peace Corps, remember what Peace Corps is all about. Young adults either go to college, may even finish college, still kind of looking for where they fit in, so they join AmeriCorps. And basically what they do is they volunteer 1 year of service. They sign up to give 1 year of service in this program, this AmeriCorps program. Now, they get a stipend. It's not a big stipend, but they get housing, they get food, they get, they're not asked to go live in tents or anything like that. We cut that program from 33 participants down to 23. But I did that. It had nothing to do for financial reasons. We did not cut the program to save money. We cut the program because the housing that we were providing was inadequate to house the number of participants that we had in there. And I take full responsibility for that. And Phyllis, I'll tell you this right up. You know I have a young daughter. Yep. You know that my daughter last year went off to college for the first year. Yep. Those viewers at home, one of those few things in the life that you're if you have children, that you will experience is going to be the day you drop them off at college and get in your car and do a 4-hour ride home. Yes. Well, I did that. Yeah. But when I went in and I looked at her dorm, as a parent, I wanted to make darn sure that that dorm had smoke detectors, had fire egresses, had handicap accessibility, had all the right things that, and I'm not just talking about the sloppiness the way college kids live. I'm talking about safety, sprinklers, smoke detectors, fire egresses. When I got back here, I toured the AmeriCorps house that we were using, and I realized we had substandard living conditions.
How was that allowed to begin in the first place?
Municipalities aren't as strict on each other when it comes to inspectional services. Okay. So as the years progressed and this house was being used, we probably had a permit at the beginning to have 6 young adults in the house. But little by little, last year we had 15. living in a single house. And that house was not permitted for 15 occupants.
Okay.
The fire department didn't know that we were doing that. The Board of Health didn't know we were doing that. Quite frankly, we tried to keep it quiet because we wanted to make sure that the safety of the individuals that were in there this year, we're going to finish out the year. But I had no intentions of putting 15 in FY19. That's why I made the motion to cut the program from 33 down to 23. The 23 that we have, we do not have to use this house that I'm talking about. We also lost the National Seashore, was a big participant in the AmeriCorps program. They had 6 individuals that were assigned to they called it the fire brigade. Well, early on in the year, in January, the federal people that handle the National Seashore came to us and said, we don't want to participate in FY19. So there were 6 people right there that we needed to cut. So we cut the additional 4, moved some things around, so now we do have adequate housing, safe housing for the 23 participants that we have.
Now, I'm not familiar with AmeriCorps as such, but it sounds like it's a type of internship, volunteering. And are we providing quality opportunity for these young people?
I think the program is due for a real good study and review, personally. I believe that when it first started, there was some good intentions behind it for that kind of an internship. Once again, I think when we grew to 33 participants, we only have 15 towns, so to have people who are involved in conservation commissions, that's only 15 at the maximum. Every town would only want 1 intern in their conservation department. So that left, a larger group. I think it's time for the program to be reviewed, though. I really do. And I think that I don't think college students and college graduates should be brought to the Cape for doing things like filling sandbags and clearing brush. That needs to be done.
Yes.
But it doesn't need to be done by this caliber of young adult. This caliber of young adult, in my estimation, should be working alongside our conservation agents, our land acquisition departments in towns, so they know how to manage the land that the towns are buying. And as you expressed, really should be more as interns as opposed to labor.
Exactly.
So, but anyhow, that's just one aspect of the year that there will be some out there saying that we cut things. That's the only thing that we cut. Okay. Now, financially, another very, very important part of county government is Children's Cove.
I did see that in the book, yes.
Okay. Children's Cove is labeled as a child advocacy agency. Mm-hmm. But you need to know, the viewers at home need to know, and the listeners here in the audience need to know, that Children's Cove is the key player for investigating sexual abuse of children. Now, we just had a situation in the town of Brewster. It's been in the newspapers, public record. There was a teacher of kindergarten age, first grade, children. He was accused of molesting child in the school. Children's Cove was one of the first responders there. Our team from Children's Cove from the county did a full-blown forensic investigation on every child that had direct contact with this person and previous ones. So we even went into and found people that were there last year, the year before. I mean, I've heard upwards of 300 kids were interviewed, but I'm not going to get into the results because that'll all come out in the court case.
Right.
But it's important for your viewers at home to realize that the county has and provides this service right here on Cape Cod. And I cannot tell you enough, it's one of the worst departments. I would love to see it go away because I would love to see no need for it.
I agree.
But it's one of the biggest ones that I support, because having a child go through that kind of trauma, and then imagine having to be loaded into a car, drive off Cape with a traffic situation, maybe go as far up as Boston or Quincy, to go into a sterile environment like a hospital and have this inquiry done, this forensic inquiry done, not only talking to the child, but some physical forensic stuff, taking samples. I don't know how else to say it.
A very high stress level.
And the way we run it here, we have a home. It looks just like your homes at home. It's in the neighborhood. Very nondescript. Play yard. When you come in the house, there's all kinds of handprints on the walls and kids' pictures. Very friendly, very welcoming, very safe. And they go in, we have a lab there to actually do the evidence collection, but we also have an interview room where the child and the staff sit down, but through a glass wall, on the other side of the glass wall, the district attorneys and the other people who are involved can sit and watch the collection of evidence.
I was going to ask, what's the interface between Children's Cove and local law enforcement?
Where they're the number one person they call. When the district attorney's office gets a phone call about anything to do with child abuse, and I'm talking from 18 down to day-old infants, the first person they call is Children's Cove to come in and help with the investigation and the collection of evidence. So now I only mention that again because you will hear that the county is cutting Children's Cove. There is no truth to that. And I say that angrily to the camera because I want them to hear me clearly. There is no truth to that. The current county commissioners fully support Children's Cove. We got a grant for $200,000 this year. The grant said we had to increase some of the things that we do over there in order to meet the requirements of the grant. But by receiving that grant, we were able to cut the money that the county puts in by $100,000. So people will say, you cut Children's Cove's budget by $100,000. Yes, we did. But we received $200,000 in grant monies and increased the services we are actually providing there.
So you increased the services and shifted the responsibility of the budget from the county to
Thank you.
The grant. All right.
And it's very important because when I ran for office 3.5 years ago, one of the things I ran on was Children's Cove should not be subject to county funding every single year. It's too important of an agency for us to worry about making sure that we have enough money at the county to fund this.
How long is the grant for?
They go year to year.
Year to year. All right.
They go year to year, which is unfortunate.
Okay.
That's why I've been working diligently for the last 3 years to find federal monies, state monies, and private monies that will be able to somehow work out that Children's Cove will always be 100% funded for the future too, and not have to worry about getting grants or getting county funds.
How unique is Children's Cove in Barnstable County compared to some of the other county structured governments, which I don't think are as comprehensive as we have in Barnstable?
From what I understand, there is no other department like Children's Cove which is run by a county government. There, I believe, 2 others in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but those 2 are one's run by a nonprofit organization, which is an interesting concept because as a nonprofit, they can accept private donations. And let me tell you, when you have, God forbid you have any dealings with a thing like Children's Cove and your family members are there, one of the first things you want to do when everything is said and done is say to them, can I send you a check for whatever? You want to support them, to thank them. As a government entity, we can't do that. We do not accept donations. Now, we have a Friends of Children's Cove that people that send money to from time to time. But as far as the budget and the operating costs,
Yes.
being a nonprofit is an interesting way to handle it. And not only that, you're not under anyone's rule, if you will. You got to remember, we're collecting evidence here. So when you walk into a jury or you walk into a court situation, you don't want to be perceived as being weighted one way or the other. You have to be neutral, because the other person that's doing the work collecting the evidence. So Children's Cove, great a part of county government, and I hope to see it thrive for forever, longer than I'm going to be around. It's because we need it.
Another thing I noticed in the book was the dredge, and that was an issue 4 years ago.
Yep.
Has there been any change in how that's?
Absolutely. The thing with the dredge is we got a grant about 20 years ago to purchase a dredge. It was a state-funded grant. We bought the dredge, and kudos to the county commissioners at that time. They operated the dredge in a revolving account situation, so that as it went out, and I should say an enterprise fund, as it went out and did work in every town, the monies that the town paid for that service stayed in that revolving account. Fast forward 20 years now, we were able now to buy a new dredge, because we've been saving that money and keeping it isolated strictly for dredge-related expenses. Now we've bought a new dredge. The county commissioners have decided not to retire the old one.
You took good care of it.
Well, we did. We took good care of it, and because of the needs of the dredging and the small window that we can do the work, it's now, the plan now is to move forward so that one dredge will be operating. Let's say we're in Mashpee, it's in your harbor, or
Papaneset Beach areas.
Okay, so we're out there working, dredging. It takes a week to do that project. We'll be moving the new dredge over to Barnstable, setting it up and getting it ready. As soon as it's all set up and the one in Mashpee is finished, the crew goes over, runs the dredge that's all set up in Barnstable, dismantles the one that's here in Mashpee, and hops over Barnstable, maybe into Chatham or Harwich, sets up. When the one in Barnstable is done, they go into Harwich on the second dredge, so we'll be like skipping each other.
So you've got two dedicated crews, one crew that moves the dredge and one crew
Move and set up and take down.
Okay, and then there's one crew that runs the dredge.
Right. That's the procedure we have got in place right now, and we're going to try it out this season coming up, and hopefully if it works, great. By the way, all the members are cross-trained, so they can certainly, if they're set up and take down crew, can also run the dredge too. But it's the way we think it's going to work better operating two dredges. And again, that's all because of the window of opportunity that we have to do the work. Some of these areas, especially the inlets, the time frame is very, very small. It's like 2 weeks in May you can do it because of the shellfish or the eelgrass or the herring, exactly. So if you only have a window of opportunity of 2 or 3 or 4 weeks to do something, it's much better to have two dredges operating than one. And hopefully we can continue to do the work. And by the way, cost-wise, it's very, very inexpensive for the towns. If you relate it to a private company, I want to say we run about half. So if we were to hire a private company, if the towns had to hire a private company to come in and do what we do, they would be paying about double what they're paying.
I want to move on to the county lab. This is something, when you're in agriculture, you can get soil tests. Water testing is critical here on Cape Cod. So
Yep.
Can you explain, have there been any changes in the county lab and the services that they provide?
Well, one of the major changes that we had was first, I don't know if your viewers realize this or not, but we did move the county lab from the old historic courthouse. It was in the basement, and we moved it into a brand new facility, which was the old jail's gymnasium, but made it into a lab. Actually, we even put a second floor on part of it too. So to go in there now, you would have a hard time remembering that it was a gymnasium. We've increased the lab testing that we do, and just the other day we got a report from the lab director that there was one piece of equipment that has been kind of sitting there because we weren't sure if we were going to put it back up to use or not, and it really required a room that was almost hypoallergenic, if that's a term, but it had to be airtight room, really a clean room. So we've done all that, and that machine is going to be up and running, we hope, in the next couple of months. That machine is going to be able to test for PFOS, which is the PFOSs that is in all kinds of products in your home, but fire training foam, spray foam. It's, pardon me?
Urethane foam.
No, the you know when they had the tanker overturn over here on the rotary, and they were out there to put the fire out. They covered it all with foam. Well, that foam carries a carcinogen in it, which is called PFOS. So this tests for water for that. And as your viewers probably know and are hearing quite often, that there's a concern of different elements that are of, this is an actual legal term. They are a carcinogen. They're not a carcinogen yet, but a product of rising concern, which means the government is kind of looking at these products and trying to figure out, do they hurt us or not? And there's a whole long list of them. Some of them are medical and chemical, medical pills and things like that that people are unfortunately flushing in their toilets and putting it into the septic systems.
It goes into the lens, and we all use the lens.
Right, that's right. So that machine is going to be up and running. We're very much looking forward to it. Right now we're sending a lot of that testing off Cape to be done, so we're going to be doing that here. And we also have contracted with some of the towns just off Cape that will be sending their stuff to us now too, because they won't have to, I believe the nearest one that does PFOS, I think, is upstate New York. So it's a pretty long turnaround.
You've mentioned that the county lab has moved from the old courthouse to the old jail, but over the last 4 years, there's been tremendous construction on the old jail.
Yep.
And transformation. How much of that is connected to the county?
All of it.
All of it?
All of it. That's our building. The county owns it, or you own it as part of Barnstable County. One of the largest tenant that we have there is the state. And obviously the courthouses. We have the registry of deeds. We have family court, probate. And then in another building, we have the first district court. And then in the building, as you mentioned earlier, the Superior Courthouse, where my office is the Superior Court. Then we have the old jail. The court systems, when I got elected, one of the platforms that I really pushed when I ran was that I felt that the courts needed to be heard. For some reason, they were being ignored, and I couldn't believe that the county was treating their number one tenant this way. They did not give them the space that they needed. They didn't give them the security monitoring that they needed to run the court system, and we were becoming very a bad tenant landlord relationship over there. The first day I took office, and I will say this, I said it the other day too, and I want to say it again publicly as many times as I can. The very first person that stopped me when I walked into the Superior Courthouse, 2 steps into the door, was Judge Nickerson, who just recently retired. And Judge Nickerson reached out and shook my hand, said, "Congratulations, County Commissioner, are you welcome?" He handed me an envelope about this thick, and he handed it to me and he said, "For 5 years, I've been trying to get this done here. Can you help me?" And I'm proud to say that not only did we complete everything in that envelope that he handed me, but more. And there were things like he needed more room, period. This all ties back to you asking me about the renovations to the old jail. The reason why we're spending so much money up there and our capital up there, a little at a time, but we are doing it. We have a plan, a 3-year plan, is because little by little, the entire county government is going to end up probably moving into that entire building. And that's going to free up, when you come in with your soil samples and you go downstairs in the courthouse, We don't need that down there. You don't need to go through a metal detector to drop off soil samples. You know,
Yeah.
they need that space down there in the family court. They need it for the probate. Probate is bursting at the seams. They need that space. I can't wait to get the extension service out of that building,
Yes.
and that entire building will be court facility.
It always sounded strange to go into the extension service and you had to go through a metal detector.
Right, it's crazy.
That didn't make
Crazy.
any sense. So
We have First District Court, which is the building when you drive onto the complex is way over to the left. The Assembly of Delegates used to meet in a room that was, I don't know, you could fit 150 people in it. It was a quite large room. The Assembly of Delegates meets once every 2 weeks for 2 hours. Once every 2 weeks for 2 hours. We had the district court was begging us for that space. They wanted to be able to hold court in there, and they could. It was set up as a courtroom. So there was public seating, plus there would have been seating for a judge's bench and stuff like that. It converted very, very easily to a courtroom.
And the new space for the Assembly of Delegates is beautiful.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
And it's high-tech. The conference rooms up at the harbor
Harbor view.
are
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, beautiful view of the harbor. It's amazing.
Well,
you know?
it's also amazing that you can plug in your laptops, you have all sorts of screens and, basic technology.
Yeah.
It's there. You would never know you were in an old jail.
Right.
No, you
Right.
wouldn't. It's
No,
wonderful.
we're doing that same thing in that room, that wing that you were in, that the assembly meets now. We are now completing the other side, which is the west wing, and, the east wing of the building. Once that's completed, we're going to do a lot of internal moving of the county departments. Again, hopefully to get them all up in there. And let me tell you something, it has not been easy. I mean, the Assembly of Delegates wasn't happy about moving. Why? I have no idea, because literally they were in the basement with no windows of a building that you had to go through security to go to a meeting, where now they have probably one of the best views in Barnstable from that old jail. And you've been there. Isn't that not a beautiful view?
I'm thinking, why did they ever put that jail there? But it does. It has the best view of the Cape.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wonderful. The outside of the building is a little intimidating, but you can get by that.
Yeah.
It's good. So is that pretty much?
That's a lot. I didn't want to get into too much, and I think for now, that we've covered a lot of stuff. I am very proud to say again that as your county commissioner for the last 3.5 years, I have completed everything I promised I was going to do when I was elected, and I'm very, very proud to say that. And I hope to continue servicing the people of Barnstable and making Barnstable County government not only accountable to you, the viewers at home, but also something that you guys will be proud of to have here. And I know that I'm certainly proud of it. I'm certainly proud of the department heads that I work with, and I'm certainly proud of what we've done over there to right the ship, and now really doing quite a bit and expanding some of the things that we're offering the towns.
This has been great. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching us this evening. This has been Leo Cakounes, farmer from Harwich and our county commissioner for the last 3.5 years, giving us an update on the various changes that have happened in the county commission over the last part of his term. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Leo.
And again, I apologize for my right off the farm, but
I know.
this is taped, so remember, it's a beautiful August day, and you called me right out of the field, and I came.
Sorry about that. Okay, thank you, and I hope everybody enjoyed this visit with.
Great, thank you for having me. Pick up your annual report.